Hello everyone, my name is Jolene Schaefer and I'm the Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, Advanced Payment Processing for Sage100, presented by Jeremy Burt and Mark Larkin of VelocIT. A little housekeeping before we get started. Everyone has been placed on mute to keep the background noise down. However, you can submit any questions you have throughout the webinar. To submit a question, look for the question section in your GoToWebinar. We will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. We are recording this presentation and it will be distributed tomorrow to all attendees as well as to those who registered but were not able to attend. Please take a moment at the end of the presentation to answer our 2-question survey. With that said, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to attend our webinar. We're here to help you get the most out of your software solutions and help you find an easier way to run your business by providing you software and industry knowledge, tools, and support whenever you need it. We've invited VelocIT to present today because they are the industry experts in advanced payment processing. So whether you're here doing research for a new solution or you're just here to learn, we'd like to encourage you to ask any questions throughout the webinar. Lastly, as a quick reminder, SWK is constantly sharing important updates and software tips and tricks on our social media channels. So we encourage you to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Jeremy.
Thank you so much. I'm going to get ready to go here and queue up our screen. Alrighty. So thank you everybody for joining us today. We're excited to present to you the VelocIT Connect integration for Sage100. It is essentially replacing the native processing function, and we include a few extra goodies as far as card present transactions for counter sales. So we enable point-to-point encrypted terminals, and we also offer ACH in the AR module under the traditional processing of credit card workflows. So I'm going to make this pretty quick, and we're going to get on to the demo portion of this, and I'll run through a couple reasons. Obviously, why VelocIT, I think, is where we all start out, right? So the big thing for us here is savings typically. So this is where we want to get your attention. Level 3 is, and the accuracy of the reporting and qualification of level 3 is really where we shine. And so the other part of this is unbundling interchange. A lot of folks have flat rates, and there may be a lot of margin in there that we can help you guys uncover for savings. And again, saving money is a big part of it, but for us, when you want to talk about switching to VelocIT, a lot of times, well, why? It's we don't want to create this lateral move, and we also have to be a sustainable company, and so we can't create a race to the bottom where we have this rate compression where we're all just fighting over a specific margin. So what this level 3 does is really unbundles an opportunity for us to save you money, still be a sustainable company that we can keep improving the product and adding more features, which we get requests all the time for extended features. But at the end of the day, how do we know you're saving money? And I'm going to show you an example of one customer here. This is a statement that I pulled from February from a customer. As you can see here, their business level, tier 4, level 2, where we got the arrow here, that particular card typically qualifies at 2.95% if you're not optimized. So $302,000 of their business, 54% of their Visa processing, 24% of their total transactions, as you can see, would normally qualify at 295. This one line item alone was over $2,200 in savings. So, the total, if you look at all of their number of transactions and the volume of sales, 78% in highlighted in pink there of their transaction volume is able to be optimized. And there's one space in there for a card there called Preferred Corporate Standard that's $31,407. That's the only portion that didn't optimize. That put them just under 94% accuracy for Visa optimization. So just as an example, I mean, we do this every day. We've got a lot of customers, and the savings can be significant. Okay, so a lot of people talk about level 3, but not everybody gets it done as accurate as the CardPointe platform. So now I'm going to get into a little bit of the boring stuff and just let you know who we are. We're a Sage developer. We're vertically integrated. We are your processor. We're taking a best of breed gateway. and we're building our own integrations. So support, it's a one-stop shop. We handle every aspect of it. We've been at this for a while. We've done over 100 deployments in the ERP space. We also do extended solutions, and we have a lot of partners that we work with. So there's also a lot of experience on our team, from banking, from payments, development, a lot of different code bases, and we work in a lot of industries. We're, much like you guys are small businesses, we also have a small business inside of our business that works with local restaurants. We have fuel companies and C-stores. We do point of sale systems. So there's a lot of knowledge to draw from on our team, and we understand what you guys are going through. So a lot of what we're presenting today is going to be about savings. We started in the payments business in 2006. The knowledge base of our team goes back much further on the development ERP side, but just as far as the ISO and the software company that exists today, this is where we started. We've sold our first merchant account, close to 11 years now, 11 years ago now. So again, we've been playing in the Sage space since 2013 on the development side, and we're really excited to present some of the new products that are going to be coming along here. So, core values, processors have kind of had a dirty name historically. Not everybody likes dealing with it. There's a lot of hidden fees. We're trying to restore some of that relationship and I guess image to the customers. So, at the end of the day, we're not going to charge you any early termination fees. You're going to understand more about your processing after talking with us than when you came in. I mean, that's the goal here, is we're here to empower you. We don't charge for our service and support. Everything's tokenized, and we're always trying to add value to our product. And the big reason why we don't charge any early termination fees is that as you've evolved as a company, you often find that somebody else along the way has something that works better for you. And if that's not our product, we're not going to hold you hostage. There's no liquidated damages. You have a regular merchant processing contract that's written to protect, obviously, the consumer, that you deliver your product and so on and so forth. But we put no teeth in that to hold you to it. There's no early termination fees. So that's, I think, very important about our values and what we do. We're here to earn our right to serve you guys. So with that, obviously we're here for a Sage100 demo here shortly. VelocIT Connect is the product. We're going to dive into a little bit about what we've done differently. VelocIT Connect is a middleware that talks to the processing engine in Sage100. So it goes on the workstation a lot like Sage Exchange used to be on your workstations. And again, optimization is at the core of it. This is what makes us a lot different, but we're going to go over a couple nuances here in a second. And if I didn't already illustrate for you on that statement, really just understand that interchange optimization is trying to move based on 13 to 15 data points that we submit with the transaction at your ERP. We're trying to move you from that worst rate up to the best rate, and that every card type is that is B2B is going to have a little bit different rate structure, but this is just one example of how well we could qualify and make a difference on a transaction. It's probably an extreme case of about 1.1%, but obviously the math is the math is important here. You guys want to make sure you're saving as much as possible, and that's our focus. Now, we talked a little bit about card present. With card present, one of the things that has come up is a payment receipt, and so we've also built in some receipting off of our receipt engine. The great thing about the Bolt card present stuff is it works wonderful with remote desktop. So I know there's been some issues in the Sage processing world previously with this, to where your terminals didn't work across Citrix or remote desktop environments, and ours are fine. The only thing these terminals do is plug into the internet. We're calling up that terminal through the internet. So your Citrix or remote desktop client, we're able to, depending on if it's published apps or how you run it, we're able to set a default terminal for that remote location, and based on who that user is and who that machine is. So it's all in our configuration, some stuff that we've worked well with. You might wonder how we're doing this, and the box that pops up for credit card processing is going to be pretty familiar to you guys. Just going to be rebranded. You know, typically your card not present box that pops up for credit card processing looks like this. Pretty obvious data that you got to put in there. You'll see this when Mark goes over the demo here shortly. But in the drop down, we've added e-check and card present. They process the e-check, and ACH processes just like a credit card. It's tokenized like a credit card. It's a different payment type. The great thing about it is that as long as you know your customer and you understand that it's not guaranteed like a credit card, it is a quick and dirty grab of money, you can use this in AR just like you do a credit card. And card present, you can too. It's a little tough to show card present on the demo, but you can get the idea. When we select card present, it basically selects your default terminal or allows you to have a drop down to dive into one of the other terminals. The terminals can be named retail front counter 1, will call, sales counter 2, however you want, Mike's machine, however you want to name that terminal, it can be named so you guys have a reference. So the way that we accomplish a couple different enhancements on the receipt side is we built in our own receipt process. The whole purpose of this was kind of threefold. Number one, we needed it for a printed receipt for payment wise. Understand it does not have the full item array on this. This is a payments receipt, but we do have the doc type and the doc number, so you can have the invoice or the sales order number. The other part of this is that this allows you guys to put in your SMTP, your email information. So when your payment receipt goes out with the document information, the customer hits reply, they're actually going back to accounting or AR, whoever you might want to actually have that. Now, the other exciting part is that surcharging requires that you have that broken out on the receipt. If you don't know what surcharging is, it's a way to completely offset your fees and basically put that fee on the customer. This is happening more and more all the time. People don't, business owners don't want to pay for the rewards and the miles and everything else that comes with the processing. So if you're in one of the dark blue areas, currently surcharging is legal. There's another program called reverse cash discounting that we can do in the other areas. It's a little bit more involved as far as your messaging to your customers, but just understand that receipt that we put out at the point of sale or via the email will have the surcharge line item broke out, which allows us to accomplish this. So you essentially have two products that we're talking about here. A is the Sage100 standard processing, B is Sage100 surcharging. So either one of those, you can reach out to us and we can talk to you about how that looks and what's going to happen with it. So basically the surcharge model is you charge your customer a flat rate 3.5%. This is just one example. These rates are negotiable, and we obviously try to keep them as low as possible to cover all card types and to cover the fees that are involved, along with keeping the price low to your customer. So as you can see here, the customer would pay $3.50 per $100 of purchase, right? So $103.50 total. So what the surcharge shows on the receipt is the $3.50 broken out as a surcharge for the $100 transaction. You, the merchant, on the back end for that $103.50 transaction, we're charging you 3.38% on that, and we deduct it daily. So what ends up happening with the total fees is on a daily discount, you'll see a summary of all your fees charged, but there'll actually be no month-end charge other than if you have PCI compliant fees or any other fees that are associated. A lot of times in the surcharging program, we compress all that and we absorb the platform and the gateway and all that fee. This is how your statement would look a little different. Is each day, if you look along from the left, you'll see that there's a batch number and that there's a deposit and that there's a fees charged. So there's a net deposit. So instead of one lump sum coming out at the end of the month, you're paying this along the way. And your net deposit, the whole strategy of this is to essentially you end up with that $100 or that total sum of what you would normally expect if somebody handed you cash, right? So we deduct the fees, and then all of our processing expenses come out of that fee. All right, so we've talked about surcharge, we've talked about some of the advanced features for Sage100. The whole goal here is to get you guys interested to reach out to us, okay? We'll give you a free rate analysis. We're gonna go over what your processing environment looks like. My email's right here, jburt@govelocity.com. We'll accommodate you anytime. We'll probably find out who it is that you're working with inside of SWK so we can get a little bit more detail about your environment and what we're getting into, how you're processing today. But that's typically, again, all free, all included in the process. So the last thing before I turn it over to Mark, I'm going to talk about is our gateway. A lot of you know it as a virtual terminal. There's a lot of different terms used, but our CardPointe is dramatically different in the fact that it's centralized everything, including your reporting, your statements, your customer service. Everything you need to know is inside of there, including the transaction and the transaction level detail. When you log into the dashboard, if you have multiple companies, you can log into one company and you can pivot. You'll see on the left here, this is a local cellular company we work with that has 10 or 12 locations around the region. And so this is their accounting view when they log in. Again, under the administration and users, you can restrict people to a certain location, give them access. Their store managers can only see their store. There's a lot of granularity in all the controls as far as your users go. But if, again, speaking to the general masses in the accounting here, as you drill down onto that location like Moscow there, the graph is a little cut off, but that graph will change to what just that location has done deposit-wise, just to give you some images, and those numbers above of the deposits will change and update. So the one cool thing that we've done here is I want to highlight is under the batch detail. So to explain to you how tightly integrated we are, if you go into your batch detail, you'll see under the order number, we have if it's an invoice, every doc type and the number. So it correlates, it corresponds, it helps you with reconciliation. The transaction level detail is immense. This is kind of an overview of the actual transaction that you would, if you were scrolling, your screen would scroll obviously and you'd be zoomed in. I'm going to show you just on the top of this here. You can reprint and re-email a receipt. You can refund that transaction. Typically everything's done through Sage, but if there's ever a scenario where you have an issue, this is how tightly everything's tied together. You can go into the reporting and search by a dollar amount, last four of a card, customer's name, a whole bunch of different stuff, and you can land on a particular transaction here, and you can do a number of things with it, obviously. There's all sorts of detail that comes in. The receipt data here is stuff that we use to link transactions together and produce receipts. But the bottom half of that screen here is showing you some of the processing details, and it can tell you what terminal it comes from. On the front end, you'll see Bolt. We know it came through a terminal. Under that, you'll see the serial number of the terminal, and we know the transaction source was Gateway. If somebody logged in and manually worked on the transaction, that information would be in there as well. A backup under, order number, again, you'll see the invoice number there, 10296737. All of this is very tightly married to VelocIT Connect inside of Sage. So we use a lot of custom data that we move back and forth. You can see some example level 3 data that's moved on this particular transaction as well. Last but not least here, I want to point to the convenience of support. You always have us, you always can reach out to support at GoVelocity. Mark has a lot of people that reach out to him through support or directly just in the Sage environment alone. Sage ecosystem. But you can also come in here and handle some of your own changes directly. Now we see these tickets opened up. If there's a problem or if there's intervention that we need to be involved in, we will intervene. But there's a lot of self-service ability in here. Again, we're tracking this, so it makes it very easy. Under reporting, you're able to get your statements. You can log into the virtual terminal and run an actual transaction or refund it. There's just a lot of information in here, and I think this is probably the most powerful. This platform, this virtual terminal checked a lot of boxes for us. And the reason why we built around this was the development support and the horsepower that it gave us. So with that, I'm going to hand this back over to Mark here in just a second. So if you can get prepared, Mark, while I work on transferring this to you.
It works now, so you can see Sage?
Yep.
Okay, great. So in here, I've just come into sales order entry, and the only thing you missed is I gave it an order number and a customer number here. So now I was just going to add a line to this, and I'm just going to do, here, we'll just do 5 of these for 1 cent here. So it'll be a 5-cent transaction, just a small one to get the point across. We'll select a credit card out of there. Now, because I've selected a default payment type, it comes here, and this payment ID you can set to be whatever you want through customer maintenance when you add a card to somebody. But I like to use the first 2 of the card or something to denote what kind of card I'm working with. So this is an Amex ending in 8009. And so over here in the deposit amount, I'm just going to take the full amount that we did for that order here, and we'll go to submit the card, and it'll bring this screen up here. And now you'll notice that the card number box is blocked out, and that's because we are using a Sage card. Now, if I didn't have a card there, I can clear this out, select card, and I can just give a random name here like A1234. And it'll ask me if I want to save the card so that we can just save one right here while we're doing the processing. I'm not going to save this card. We'll go in here and do a deposit. And now you'll see that it's going to let me put in this information. Now you'll see it also offers e-check card present as well. So I can choose card present, and it shows me a list of all the terminals I have. Now, this one that was pre-selected, this 3642, is the one that I have sitting on my desk right here. So we can try to do a card present transaction right here real quick, and I'm going to mute my microphone because it's going to beep very loudly.
At this point, it's sent out to the terminal, waiting for the response. So as he puts in, it prompts him for the amounts. He's putting the card in, and typically, like we've all done at all of our stores, you know, your Home Depot and Walmart, same type of Ingenico pin pad or signature capture terminal.
Oh, looks like it actually asked me for my zip code this time, which I didn't even know that we had the possibility to do, but that's really cool. So you can see that the transaction has been authorized here, and so I'll accept that. Now we can bring up CardPointe here, and you can see on the side that it shows authorizations and captures, and I haven't refreshed this, so let me refresh this one more time. You'll see that we have now a 4-cent transaction that was done on my MasterCard ending in 5805. And then we can also come in here onto the specific transaction, and we can look and see all the information that it gives us about that transaction. But one of the cool things here is that it keeps track of your document numbers as well. So you can easily cross-reference a payment to an invoice or a sales order within Sage. So if we go back here to 22, we can see that the same amounts on the payment total, or all these, the fields here, the transaction IDs and everything, line up with what we'll see in CardPointe. That's a neat feature there. And let me see as well, I will try to get a screen pulled up of my email to see if we can get an email receipt next on the next order that we do. Okay, so let me cancel this. Let's create another one. Okay, and we're just going to use a saved card this time, and let's do a payment. And a payment's going to do a pre-authorization and put a hold on the funds that you enter here in the auth amount. So I'm just going to do it for 1 cent, but you can put whatever number you'd like in there, you know, within reason. Next, and then here, let me set this to Mark at GoVelocIT.com. And now I'm using my from address as mark@govelocity.com, but I think we should still be able to get the receipt either way. So gmail.com. We'll see here that I got this was for the last one that we did for 4 cents. So it looks like we did get a receipt for that one.
I think it's important to note on the receipt here that this is completely customizable. This one was not thrown together for a demo purpose, but as you can see, every area of it, we can add other data. You can add messaging at the bottom. Obviously, your company name, other than production, would be at the top. I think what's important about this is that a lot of the competitors that send out a gateway email, it's a no reply. So when it comes from your virtual terminal, it doesn't get back to AR very easily. And so the fact that they can simply reply to the email allows everybody to work a lot more efficiently. You know what document, you know what transaction amount. It reduces that go back and forth quite a bit if anybody has a question about a transaction. Carry on, Mark. Sorry.
Okay. So now that we have also looked into we looked into CardPointe and we saw those transactions, but a neat feature that we have in here is we can come in and see the transaction log here. And we can choose to include authorizations, and you can set sorting options here as well. So I'm just going to search for transactions that came from today. This is going to be quite a list because I did a little testing. But we can see here that we've got all the transactions that we did. So that 22 that we had just ran on the card present card. Let me see if I can zoom this in here a little bit. You see that 22 with the 5805 for the card number is saved in here with 4 cents. It shows the username as well of the person signed in for Sage, whoever processed that transaction, which is very convenient for if you're trying to track down the workstation that a transaction was processed at. And then we also have this neat setup.
That report that Mark had, I'm sorry to step on you here, Mark. I wanted to just point out that transaction log is really meant to be the activity that happens during the day. It's an audit log for you guys. You're going to see who ran the transaction, who voided it, what happened, what machine. So this is not necessarily meant specifically to be a balancing report. It's meant to be an activity and log. And then Mark's going to show you the settlement report, and that lines up, and that data is pulled from what we deposit to your bank. So it's the authoritative balance of what that deposit consisted of that went to your bank account. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. Hope I entered a good date range there. If not, we'll just do February. So it takes a minute for this because it's pulling a whole lot of transaction data down to your workstation when it's printing this report. So this might take just a minute. There we go. And then we'll preview. And you can see here that it shows us, again, everything that was put into the bank account, the BAPS number that it was in, when it was processed, and it also gives all the documents that everything came from, the full amounts, the approval codes, and the transaction ID of what came in and came through.
One other quick point here.
Had I run,
your deposit, as Mark's mentioned, if your deposit, in our case, would have been 40 cents. We come in here, this gives you the full view. You can quickly reconcile and know that everything that was in your deposit was cleared. You can do your cash receipt entry and move all your funds. The other part of this is that a lot of folks that do more than $1 million a year on Amex are required to be funded directly by Amex. So we can break out Amex to give you all your other major card brands as one lump sum and your Amex is one lump sum, because we know our stuff is going to deposit next day. Amex is going to be a day or two later. So it helps you when you run this report to cross-reference your Amex off of, so you can make sure you do your cash receipt lump sum entry if that's how you guys do that to move funds and reconcile. very useful report.
Cool.
I think,
also,
Mark, for the sake of time, we're up at 30 minutes here, a little bit over. We can dive into a bunch of other processing. I think for now, what's going to be best is rather than trying to go through every module, and a lot of people already know how to use Sage. If anybody watching the video has any questions, they can reach out to us. Again, jbert at GoVelocity or sales at GoVelocity, and that information comes to me. We'll set up a demo. You can reach out to your CAMs, which is also a great way. They can set up appointments with us. We can evaluate. Before we even do a demo, we can just look at a statement and tell you what the opportunity and the savings are. And then we go through the process with you based on your specific use cases, how you're processing today, or if you want to integrate one of our great features like card present or the receipting or ACH. We'll work through you with that on a one-on-one basis. So I think for now, this is a good stopping point, just to show people kind of some basic benefits here. What it looked like to process is probably great. So with that, I think we'll pass it back to SWK.
Wonderful.
Great.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Jeremy.
Mark and Jeremy. We'll now open it up for questions. If you have any questions, please enter them into the question section of your GoToWebinar, and we'll give that a minute in case any come through. And just a reminder, everyone, this is we do have subject matter experts here, which is a great opportunity to have your questions answered in real time. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy and Mark, for your informative presentation and for taking the time to be here today. A note for our audience, we will be sending out a link to the SWK Business Survival Guide along with the webinar recording tomorrow afternoon. This is an excellent resource for best practices for working remotely in light of everything that is going on. For those who registered but were not able to attend, please reach out to your CAM or to SWK directly for access to the Business Survival Guide. Thank you so much for your time today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.